Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Am I on?
Doesn't sound like it.
Sorry. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, a public notice of this meeting has been sent to board members, all district schools, the Herald News, the Trends, the Record, the Messenger, West Milford Town Hall, the County Superintendent's Office, the Board Attorney, and Cablevision of Warwick, and posted on the district's website. Copies of the board meeting calendar resolution were provided to all local media, town hall, township, library, and all district schools. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Romeo.
Here.
Mr. Seidowitz.
Here.
Mr. Drew.
Here.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Mrs. Dwyer has to be excused, please.
Mr. Garino.
Here.
Mrs. Fritz.
Here.
Mr. Ovchinsky.
Here.
Mrs. O'Brien.
Here.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Here. Okay. Superintendent's report. Dr. Animo, the budget.
Okay. We have a presentation for us here tonight.
Over there.
Can we get to the side maybe?
Yeah.
Hello.
I won't encroach your space too much.
That's all right. I was encroaching on this whole side of the table, so it wasn't very fair.
Good enough? Okay. Good evening, everybody, members of the public, members of the Board of Education. We have our preliminary budget presentation tonight. This is for budget year 1920. We have a brief PowerPoint tonight. Thank you all board members for their input throughout this whole process. I know it's a lot of hard work. It's not always easy, and we really appreciate that. So on behalf of the children, the students, our parents, our staff, thank you very much for everything. So this budget that we have in front of you now is a very conservative budget. The total budget increases only by 2.45%, and our general fund just by a little bit more than that. It puts a lot of money into the classrooms and not administrative overhead costs. As you can see, we are well below the northern region limit of $2,300 per pupil. We're at $1,949. And it doesn't seem like much, $350, but that's per pupil times over 3,000 students. So we're very low admin costs in West Milford. Curriculum highlights, Mr. Novak?
Yeah, I'm just going to give a brief overview of some of the projects we have in place and some of the things we're looking forward to with next year's budget. Readers and Writers Workshop is is an area of professional development and growth that we've been talking about probably in this room many times, almost every meeting we've seen. It's really a presentation all into itself. We are currently in year 3 of a 5-year plan. And obviously, as we move forward into years 4 and 5, we're looking to improve on some of the things that we're doing. We are almost complete with initial training for every grade level, K through 8. So a few grade levels that are first going to receive their initial training. And a number of our grade levels are in what we call maintenance period. And we're looking forward to, in years 4 and 5, a process of a coaching model. Coaching models often have mixed reviews with staff and presenters and that sort of thing. We've worked with this trainer now for quite a few years, and the relationship is in a good place between our staff and our professional developers, so that they are at a place where a coaching model can be effective. We are continuing with our phonics training. We implemented a new phonics program this year in K through 2. And we have training going forward to sustain the program and also be available for new teachers, teachers who may have been, every once in a while you have, teachers on maternity leave and that sort of thing who didn't receive the training during this year. So we have budgeted costs for the people who had not been adequately trained for one reason or another. We also have our Encore staff, which is our basic skills teachers across the district, who are also going to be trained, and whoever's remaining from our special education staff who was not trained initially, so that will be in that. Word work is the discussion of spelling and vocabulary at the elementary level. We recently met in an initial committee to take a look at the programs that are available, take a look at what other districts are doing in this regard, and we've met with a few vendors. And we see next year as the year to pilot a few different programs and see what's going to be right for West Milford. Both of these relate back to that Readers and Writers Workshop goal from number one, in terms of trying to create the best language arts program that we can K through 8. So word work is a big part of that. Our teachers have felt the need for a little bit more of a tangible presence in terms of vocabulary instruction. So we got a great group of volunteers who came in and worked with our language arts supervisor and our other administrators to take a look at those programs. Red Ink, No Red Ink is a continuation, relatively along some of the same lines. It's the old mechanics usage and grammar process, but it's in a more engaging process. We are currently using that at our 7th and 8th grade levels, and we're looking to expand that usage throughout the district. Another highlight looking forward, we are currently piloting for the first year. All 5th through 6th grade students will be engaged in something called Science Olympiad, and this year's title for their end-of-year event is called STEM Showdown, where they'll be almost in I want to call it a science fair because it's quite different, but it's a STEM-based competition at the building level. The future of this could lead to the point where we have a district competition where we are able to have students who meet criteria and move up levels, and then compete for a school-based or district title. And those are the discussions we're having as it's rolling out. We are piloting elementary robotics program currently in 5th grade, and the goal for that going forward is that next year we'll have an established 5th and 6th grade program that will feed into our McApin and high school programs across the board. And that's one of the goals we've been talking about for a number of years is, how do we have a bigger footprint with robotics in our schools, and this is the next step in that process. A couple of meetings ago, we had our science supervisor come in, talk about changes to our high school program, where we're going to have the opportunity for all students to get physics course, not phonics, and that's cutting edge. We're not there yet. Physics instruction for all at the high school level. That's going to require training of additional physics staff with the certifications that are required for that course, as well as the development of a conceptual physics course that would be a differentiated program for for a variety of different student abilities across the building. We are currently, again, a lot of piloting terms going to come up, but we're trying out a lot of new things to see what the data gives us. Another one is Albert.io, which is a interactive tool for increasing students' ability to interact with items that could be on the AP placement exams. So that is currently in place for a majority of our AP courses. I think there's just one or two courses that don't interact with the content that's on there, but as for right now, the teachers are assigning and using in their courses to give students this exposure. It's an online program that is, we hear us talk about STAR Math and those types of things, so it's an assessment-based program that it's smart, it adapts to the student, so students get test items, and then those test items change based on the content and their ability to pass the different rigors of the contest. Our teachers are enjoying it because it offers a variety of content that might not necessarily be covered in their syllabus or in their coursework. So it's exposing kids to a wider range of AP items.
Thank you.
The creation of an Algebra 1 course for grade 7 students. This is a major shift in our program of studies for our Macapin students, and eventually, down the road, hopefully, in our high school. Last year, we presented the decision to create pilot schools. So we have 3 elementary schools that are piloting a enriched math program in the 5th and 6th grades, while 3 of our schools are remaining in the traditional model here, where we have a math teacher and a language arts teacher in the 5th and 6th grade. So from that pilot, we were able to, in order to fairly determine which students would be placed into an enriched or an accelerated program, we've developed an entry criteria, multiple measures, assessments, basic facts, abilities, those types of things. From that, we glean great information about all of our kids, not just the kids who go to the 3 schools who are within the pilot. So we believe that we're going to be able to identify, hopefully, a single course of students who could be that advanced, we would be able to offer an Algebra 1 course in 7th grade. So we're in the process of looking at those assessments and determining, if we have those students, which we know we do. We have that feedback already. It's just a matter of determining the size and the course that goes along with it, the materials, the training for the staff, etc. So we're in a good place. We've had honors Algebra 1 in 8th grade for a number of years. Last year and this year we offered the 7th grade pre-algebra course that our 6th graders take an assessment and get into. So that has been a really fun growth process to see in place, and a lot of the things we've been talking about over time, we hope translates to a more differentiated approach to teaching mathematics across the board. So we're really excited about it. The last bullet point refers to Renaissance Learning. That's the company who we talk about. They provide Star Math. We engage with a number of their products now, Star Math being the assessment tool where we can determine our students' benchmark level, where they're at in their math growth at a particular snapshot in time throughout the school year. Math Facts in a Flash was something I presented to the Ed Committee a few months ago. It is a process that allows our staff and our families to determine, do our kids know their basic facts or not. In the past, we've had, sort of been dependent on the great teacher in the classroom or the parent at home to do the flashcards and all that type of thing. This makes learning your facts as tangible to assess as our benchmark experience does for not letting a student get to the next level without knowing how to read. So we're at the beginning stages of that. It's being starting to be implemented K through 3 at the moment. This week, expect a letter coming home from me, as well as from Mrs. Rettina and myself on behalf of the math department, to present the at-home logins and a Honeywell to go home from me to explain how we're going to open up something called Home Connect, which is the ability for the parent to practice this. It's about 3 minutes or less for the student to interact and complete an evening assessment. So we're hoping to get Math Facts and the solidify student knowledge at a very early age. One of the things I referred to when we were first talking about it was the research that says students who master the basic facts by the end of 3rd grade have a greater trajectory in terms of math ability. So we're trying to approach our development on math at every angle that we have. Third product from Renaissance Learning is not on the slide. It's called Accelerated Math. That is the library of associated skill work that goes along with our work in Star Math. So we take an assessment in Star Math. Our teachers, our parents can see areas of weakness, areas of strength. And through the accelerated math component of Renaissance Learning, we're able to take a look at those areas that need work, and we're able to assign a library of skills that directly match the area of weakness, and the teachers and students can interact with that and see the growth. So we are currently piloting that with our basic skills students at Macapin, and the feedback from the teachers has just been tremendous in terms of you know, the things that are at their fingertips and disposal for our students. So it's, again, very exciting for the things we got going on.
Renaissance, the math facts in a flash.
Yes.
It's not curriculum and instruction, it's just
It is
assessment at home.
simply- No, it's done during the school day, so we have,
Okay.
it's sort of, right now we're.
Digital flashcards.
It's digital flash, right. We do it on iPads, Chromebooks, but what it does is it allows a student to log in. Typically, the practice is 20 questions, and the test is 40, and they're timed. We've been tweaking with the timing to make sure it's appropriate for our kids, but it tracks it digitally, so the teacher doesn't have to, get bogged down in all of the data work. It's provided for them, and they know that this student mastered their 2s, their 3s, and their 6s in multiplication, and they still have to work on this one. Then they can assign, 2 minutes of practice at home per night. That's sort of in the Honeywell letter, it goes home.
And it'll explain the difference between that and IXL also?
Well, so we're pulling back on IXL
Okay.
in those grade levels, because we want our students to focus more on the basic facts, so we can build on those foundational skills.
Okay. And sorry, I have a lot
Fine.
of, and it goes with the Go Math curriculum that they're doing in the classroom?
So this is not,
It doesn't align with that in any way?
This is just facts.
Okay.
This is not skills on
Just
top
the
of it, this
facts.
is just their basic facts.
Okay.
And the student work at home doesn't impact what they do during the day, so the kids can work at home during the school day with the teacher supervision, and then achieve and pass their levels. The at-home connect is a separate login, but it connects to what the teacher can see. So practice time should equate to greater success and better mastery of those basic facts.
Thank you.
You had, on the other pilot, the accelerated math with the library of full usage, you're piloting it with the basic skills math at Mackin now. What is the plan? Like, is that to roll out in all the math classes, and is it middle school? Like, what are the grade levels? Is that going to trickle down?
So right now, it's piloted at the Macklin School in those basic skills areas, because I'm using title federal funds.
Okay.
And when I use federal funds, I can only service students who are eligible for those federal funds. So
Okay.
that's what we're using at the Macklin School at this time. Feedback from the teachers is that they absolutely love it. So we are looking to, it's not included in next year's budget, so I am looking next year to work with our Encore basic skills students at McApin, and then to continue using title funds to also branch out to our elementary schools for our students who match that criteria. As we look going forward, then we'll look to build it into the budget to see if it's sustainable long term.
And
Not
has
dependent
benefit
on
across
title.
kids that are just in standard math that are struggling and, need some of that reinforced
Sure.
work.
A little early to tell how well it's working now, but we'll have a better idea by the end of the school year.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Our budget timeline here, we're about halfway through here. We started this in the fall. We developed some sort of budget guidelines, and what we're looking to do with this budget. We had meetings with our principals and department supervisors in the fall. We did have a budget meeting a few months ago that was canceled with the snowstorm. Last Thursday, we got our state aid figures. I'll come back to that in a few minutes. And tonight, we have our preliminary budget. So after the budget is passed tonight, we'll send it to the county office for approval. And then April 30th will be our public hearing on the budget. So we have about 6 or 7 weeks between now and April 30th to review, amend, adjust the budget. We'll have a couple of committee meetings in that time period, as well as some more board meetings. Okay? So our budget basics, and I know for some of you, this is probably a review. For others, it may be brand new. So I'll start at the beginning. Our budget's split into 2 parts, revenues and expenses. Money coming in and money coming out. The problem with our budget is that our revenues are declining, most notably state aid, and our expenses are rising. And they're not rising any greater than they are anywhere else. It's just healthcare costs more every year, salaries go up, transportation costs go up, things of that nature. So our revenues, we have a local tax levy, which is about 75% of our budget this year. That's capped by the state at 2%. Our state aid is declining dramatically now, and our federal aid is declining, probably not at as large a rate, a large pace, but it is declining. And our expenses are going up at a faster rate than our revenues right now. So just a brief 10-year history or 11-year history of our state aid. You can see where we were when our budget was $64 million, we were getting $16 million. Basically, a quarter of our budget was covered by state aid. And now all the way down here, we're under 18%. So it's about 7%, 7.5% of our budget disappeared via state aid. So that puts a lot of pressure on the local taxes, okay? It's in graph form, and you'll see this again. This is not a long period of time. This is just 11 years. Our federal aid, the same story. It's a smaller number to begin with, so when you lose here, you don't lose as much, even though the percentage is declining. And we lost, in 11 years, we lost a full percent of our budget. So 7.5% on the previous slide, and 1% here. Now you're up to 8.5% of our budget just disappeared. And that's where the cuts come in. That's where pressure on local taxes comes in as well. So our local tax levy, this is on our, the cap is 2%, but it's not on the overall budget. It's not 2% of 75 million. It's 2% on the tax levy. So it's 2% of 55 million. Okay, so you're allowed to go over 2% if you have allowable exemptions such as health benefits or bank cap. Bank cap we're going to touch on in a little while. This is when you don't increase your budget by 2% in any year. You can use that 2% in the next any of the next 3 years. So if you increase your budget by 1.5% one year, you can use that extra 0.5 in any of the next 3 years. So that's why the budget you see in front of you is greater than 2%. Okay? So in our budget, again, approximately 75% of our revenues come from taxes. So when we go 2% on that, it doesn't increase our budget by 2%. It only increases our budget by 1.5%. In other words, 2% of 75%. Okay? So it's a little bit of a tricky, kind of a little bit of a misnomer when people say the 2% cap. It's not the whole budget. Okay? So in the past 8 years, this Board of Ed has done a great job of holding taxes to a very low increase. The 8-year average is 1.48%, less than 1.5% over those 8 years, which is probably the lowest in the county, if not the state. So our preliminary budget that we see in front of you, it has a local tax levy increasing by 2.9%, and our general fund increasing by 2.49%. The reason these numbers don't match is because there are other revenues that are declining last year and this year, most notably state aid. Okay, our revenues, as you can see the first line, this is the number that came out last Thursday. So the budget that we've been working on, we were looking at a $560,000 cut in state aid this year. So that's what we put into our budget as late as last Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we were notified that the cut was $950,000. So it's about a $390,000 difference that we had to cut out on Friday before getting this budget out to you Friday afternoon. Okay, so it's a 6.7% drop this year over year, with more to come over the next 5 to 7 budget years. Okay? So we think West Milford will lose approximately $7 million in state aid over the next budget, next few years, next 5 years. So this number could be as low as $6 million in a couple of years. Because again, this puts pressure on local taxes. So these other numbers are relatively static, and this is our tax levy increase right here. Now the fund balance here is another number. This went up by $450,000. This is money that we saved last year by not spending it at the end of the year. We had some positions that we left unfilled, and we basically stopped spending about at this time last year just so we could save up. So this number went up this year by $450,000. We're looking at a decline next year in that number. So despite a little bit, we're going to try to save as much money as we can. We've already stopped spending for this year. We told our administrators there's no more spending this year unless it's an emergency.
So last year, when you stopped spending, you did that anticipating the $500,000 that was going to come this year?
So we're doing the same thing now. I just think it's going to be lower than that.
Yeah.
The number's going to be down. So the difference between 2.499 and whatever it is next year will be, this number will most likely be in red next year. So we could be looking at a reduction in this line and then in this line as well. So next year's budget, this year's budget's bad, but next year's going to be significantly worse. Okay, our expenses, again, these are trimmed pretty tight, broken down across various categories. The general education drop reflects reduction of staff. Tax levy impact, year to year. It's 100, this is last year, this year is $143 on the median assessed household. Obviously, some people pay more who live in bigger houses, who live in smaller houses, they pay less. But the average person is going to pay $143 extra in school taxes this year, which comes out to just under $12 a month. Capital projects, we have 4 of them in there, or 3 of them really. We have the paving the transportation lot, which is in dire need of to be paved. We have a lot of slips and falls down there lately. Paving the Mackin lot, which is the upper lot on the way to the football field, on the right-hand side is the gravel lot. We're going to replace the Mackin gym floor. It's got that rubberized surface, which is very, very smooth now. It doesn't have much grip left to it. And we're going to continue with our ESA next year.
Can you slow down just one second? Thank you. Okay, I'm ready.
So our proposed staffing cuts this year and next, we've got 1 administrator, 5 elementary, 2 Mackin, and 3 at the high school. That's as of right now in the budget what you're looking at.
What does that equate to dollar-wise, roughly?
That's a good question. Let me see.
Let me see. I can probably,
Ballpark,
roughly 250.
salary and benefits,
Six.
obviously. You're looking at 10 times 8, maybe $1 million,
Seven.
close to it. Less than $1 million, 800 to $1 million.
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 800 or so. Mhm.
So what does the future look like? We'll be back here again.
How many of those are
We're going to be 5.
10.
There might be some other categories in there,
Oh.
not all teachers, but there could be another category.
teachers? I hope we're not only cutting teachers.
We're cutting admins, we're cutting teachers, it could be some other spots as well. And support staff as well.
And only 1 administrative staff.
Correct.
Cut one last year.
So what does the future
Several
look
more
like
before
long
that.
term?
Several more before that.
Sharply declining state aid and increasing staffing cuts each year. Declining fund balance, I think I just mentioned that. Our federal aid, although it's not a lot of money, it is something that will go down as well. Our expenses continue to go up, salaries, benefits, building maintenance, transportation, etc. Lots of pressure on local taxes, and a limited ability to fund our capital reserve, our maintenance reserve accounts, and so on. So that's the money at the end of the year. We try to store away our maintenance reserve, and we can put it into a next year's budget to help us with those costs. Any questions?
How were the proposed staff cuts determined?
Wherever we can absorb a cut, where it's going to do the least amount of damage to our program, to our schools, to our district, that's where we're doing the cuts. So, for example,
Retirements too, right?
The people may be a retirement or may not, it depends, but the position is a couple of sections at the elementary level where there's a relatively small grade, which may have been bigger in kindergarten. You know, there may have been 58, and now it's down to 45, so that's 3 sections, will become 2 sections next year. So it's not that dramatic of an impact in those areas. Next year is going to be much more difficult cuts to make. We felt we can cut in those areas without doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. Upper elementary now, I think they're mostly going to 5th grade. So those class sizes will be pretty manageable. So we've got a lot more work to do on it, but this is the broad strokes. Any questions?
I think that the state funding cuts, up to right now, but I wonder if their idea of a formula, how do they figure that out? Because the one thing I'm reading is based on a town's ability to pay, and I see like Wayne is getting a big increase, and they got mega shopping malls and so forth. And I think West Milford got one of the biggest dollar increases, if not the biggest of all the cutbacks of funding. So,
We're up there.
you know, just personally like some more information, how to figure it out. I don't know how the way state works, it's political, it's...
Some of it has to do with enrollment. A big part is enrollment. The towns that have gained enrollment over the past, the funding formula came out around '08, I think.
Yeah, that was the last time they ran it, and they held harmless. So for the last 10 years, up until last year, whatever our enrollment numbers were in 2008 were what they were basing our funding formula on. So last year, when they had the political issues down in Trenton, they decided they were going to rerun the formulas based upon current enrollment levels. but they also take it into consideration, like you say, the district's ability to pay. Yeah, and they change that on the annual basis.
Any information you could send me on that?
Sure.
It's a little bit of a mystery. It's not something they release to us. We can kind of look at our own state aid forms and kind of try to piece it together, but there's some missing variables that I can't quite figure out myself, so I'll see where we can get it.
And there's no special, like, there's nothing that we can apply for saying that we have a unique situation, because I know everybody in the state probably feels that way. However, West Milford being unique in the fact that we cannot add any more to our property rolls, and the fact that we're in the Highlands, is there any kind of, special funding we can look for,
At this point, it's fallen on deaf ears. I've reached out to Trenton a couple of times and haven't really gotten any feedback, positive feedback. Had a long conversation with Senator Sweeney's aide one day, and he's been avoiding my phone calls ever since.
I also think that maybe we need to reach out to the members of the Highlands Committee, because the Highlands Act is one of the things that have put us partly in this situation. And I'm wondering, because they are a state formulated group,
Rich,
right?
former board president, is the chairman now. I think we invited him here. He's a great guy, and he's very amenable, I think, to speaking to us about it.
I think we need his help. I think
Yeah,
we
well,
need them to, because they know the constraints of the Highlands Act probably better than anyone else, and they've created part of it. So I think we need that.
Part of it, there's a lot of broken promises with tax dollars and funding for the communities that it's never lived up to. Right now, on the Economic Development Commission, we're ready to ask the Township, council. I drafted a memo for them to approach the legislature, say, look, we need, these things done. This might just be another area to throw in there. There's a lot of money that was promised that never really came through. It's forgotten. We're still doing our part, but the rest of it was, it came from the state to do their part for the communities. It just did not happen financially.
In many ways, there's a double-edged sword, because if you go to Lower Passaic County and Essex and Union and Morris, they've created so many, the Mount Laurel thing is affecting so many of those places, and that's why they're getting such dense housing down there. And they're growing their populations because of that dense housing. You have your retail on the bottom, you have transit villages. You can't compete with that because you can't grow anything. So, and that's another problem. And
We're supposed to be compensated for that.
and you're not being compensated for that, and I totally understand that, and it's a frustration on my part. I don't live here, but I don't want to see people have to pay more than what they are. But if the state says that your ability to pay is higher, and that if you want to fund programs that are more than thorough and efficient, then you're going to have to pay up. Meanwhile, they'll give it to the Abbotts, and they'll give it to the formerly known as Abbotts. And for anyone else that knows how to manipulate the system, like, districts that send their kids to private schools but need transportation, or,
Like-
only use the local school system for special education, situations. So you have a lot of people that know how to manipulate the system.
I think you touched on something that really needs to be put out there, is what the state describes as a thorough and efficient education. Because I don't know that if the public truly understands that in that formula of thorough and efficient, art and music and busing are not there. So
basically, what you're trying to say is when more cuts are made next year or the year after, there's things we can't cut,
Yeah.
and there's things
That
we may be able to cut.
Yeah.
That falls into those categories: art, music, etc. So it's not part of a T&E education.
courtesy busing is like a big hot button.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is, if everybody's agreeable, maybe we could work our way around the table for questions, so that this way everybody gets one chance to, get at it, and then we can get back to something if there's more questions. So I think Mr. Drew has something, because he spoke to me before the meeting, so why don't we let Mr. Drew have his 10 minutes and see where he's going with this?
Give him, he gets
Thank you.
5 and 5.
Oh, 5 and 5 minutes, you're allowed. 5 minutes. You're on the air.
You're on the air.
That is not what Robert's rule says. That's fine.
Oh, we'll revisit that, let's go.
Fourth and everything.
Oh, I hope I can get that to stand up so that people can see it. Fundamental problem, as everybody knows, is that we have an enrollment decline. That's probably for a lot of reasons, at least partly is the Highlands Act, we just can't grow. The only way we're going to grow students is if we have families move in, or the families who are here have more kids. The problem is, here, if we have a 2% tax increase, that's about $1 million, right? A little bit more. And all that covers is the loss in state funding for the next 6 years. We have other obligations. We have to pay our contracted employees their raises. We're going to have capital expenditures. So we're frankly in a terrible situation. This year is not so bad. We can handle it. But as we go on in the next 6 years, frankly, the train is rolling down the tracks and the bridge is out. We have a train wreck on its way. And with the 2% caps, I don't know. The only thing I think we can do is we got to look at adjustments to the budget. Now, part of the problem is, as we pointed out, they developed the state formula back here in 2008. They took assessment of all the districts in New Jersey and said, this is what we're going to do. In 2008, we had 4,400 kids. Now we have 3,289. There's some difference based on whether you use beginning of the year, end of the year, PCTI students, so on and so forth. It's roughly correct. We've had a 25% decline in enrollment. Now, if you just said, okay, let's apply the money we spent at our high water mark in 2008, and the cost per student, it would be down here at a $34.7 million tax rate. Of course, you should apply inflation, and it should be here. So we've actually had this huge decline in our district, and what's happened during that period of time, and I think everybody kind of knows this, but here it really is. We've had this decline down here in what we should have been spending, and the taxes themselves have actually gone up a lot. The difference between there is this huge gap. Now, the state of New Jersey is saying, oh, we've been giving you the same amount of money. We want our money back. You had a decline in population. All these other districts didn't. So they're taking it from us and giving it to other districts. But we ought to be asking the same question. Why on earth were we going up so much in tax rate during this decline? I will point out, and by the way, I sort of know Carl. Carl was former Board of Ed member. Mm-hmm. He was the mayor of the town. Mm-hmm. He was a West Milford teacher. And he has made the very sound observation that one of the problems with public Board of Education like this is you get business people like me who think they know what they're doing and want to tell the educators what to do. And it's a very good point. What I would do in business is different than what you need to do in education. Those decisions about education should be made by educators. But I can certainly look at purely the financial situation and say, that's a mess. That's mismanagement. An example is General Motors and Ford. Both of them had declines in auto manufacture. As the number of Tauruses went down, they continued to make quality cars. They gave all their employees raises. They continued to make capital investments, and they made money. General Motors went bankrupt. We all had to bail them out. And that's about the only TARP money we never got back. We got all that money back from banks. We didn't get our money back from General Motors. And it wasn't the workers. I tell you right now, the workers at GM and Ford, quality workers. Wasn't the customers, wasn't the cause. It was management. And I think that this gap here is management. All right.
Okay, we're gonna come back to you.
Thank you.
I was just gonna go around. Do you have anything that you would like to add to that,
No.
or any questions? Kate, I figured I'd just go one by one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Kate, do you have anything?
Come back to me then.
I'm coming to you, yeah. You're
Back to me last.
Oh, okay,
I'm figuring something out here.
okay. Kate, do you have anything?
No, I've asked many questions throughout the presentation, and just, it's sad when we're talking about staff cuts and, we haven't talked about how that affects our kids, or it's hard to know exactly what the cuts are from our end, sitting in this seat. But it's a difficult spot to be in, and, these are tough times. So I'd love to talk about solutions and look at ways that we can bring in money, but I don't have any questions. I think this was a great presentation and good explaining. Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, call me tomorrow or the next day when I have it.
And that's the other thing, I really do encourage you, even if I think you'd be open to somebody coming in to talk to you rather than having to do it on the phone, but we are going to have committee next week, and in discussion that I've had with both Barbara and Alex, we've talked that this is something that's going to have to be talked about in each committee so that everyone has a good understanding of where the cuts are coming from and any input that's out there. Barbara, I'm sorry.
I just want to comment on one thing. The tax rate is based upon the community's valuation. The valuation has declined significantly over the last 10 years. So that has an impact on the increase.
Evaluation of the schools?
No,
Value.
Total
Value.
Sorry.
Property value of the
Got
community.
it, okay, sorry.
Because the more valuation you have, the taxes are spread over more people or more entities. So as the valuation gets smaller, you have to pay more money. And that's why you have a spike in your tax rate.
Less homes
Right,
that
less
are coming.
people.
People are
Yeah.
coming off the rolls that,
And you have less commercial
Just talking
to
about
offset a
everything.
lot of your taxes.
which is making that pie smaller too. Are you ready, Mr. Guarino?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'll go to Mr. Sidowitz then.
Okay, typically this would happen under the motion, so I guess I'm just gonna get it all out now. Considering the surplus that we did receive from our 0% increase here, it concerns me to go out with a 2.9% increase to the taxpayer. Despite the fact that we are facing these severe state aid cuts, we have to think differently. I can't in my good conscience vote for anything that's above 2% for a preliminary budget, but that's me personally. In terms of thinking differently, my personal opinion, and not to rehash the argument, I agreed with Mr. Drew at the time that the Maple Road roof should have been bonded for. It was a missed opportunity, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from that. If you have an inclination to feeling that way, we should package certain infrastructure projects together, really critical infrastructure projects that may otherwise be ignored, and either move them from the budget or come up with a creative solution like we did with the bleachers and lease for it and space out things and just finance differently. So I hope that we are creative and the board can have a little bit of a stronger input, not in terms of micromanaging, but in terms of offering suggestions, because in essence, the Macapin and high school roofs was a creation of the board and administration working together. And that allowed for projects, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder down the line, but that allowed for greenhouses to get done and bleachers to be put in and field houses to be erected down the line. And it seems to me that when I look through the book and I see things like the Macapin floor, the squeaky wheel is coming out of me again. 3 years of sitting at this table, or almost 3 years of sitting at this table, and that came out of nowhere. And it could be justified. Don't get me wrong. I get it. There's a new roof on the building, and now it's not going to get wet from any sort of rain damage. However, how come this wasn't in there? How come, well, I knew about the transportation yard being paved. Great, that's a safety issue, and that's something that I have heard about for year upon year upon year. But the Macapin gym floor is something I didn't. Almost $40,000 tennis court. I mean, these are big ticket items, and holy moly. Sure, there's safety issues. However, it should be a part of a broader plan that the board should be fully aware of. If we're questioned about something from the public, hey, how about that transportation yard? We should be able to confidently say, well, there are damages, and it is a safety concern, and I happen to agree with it, and so on and so forth, to kind of solidify our opinion. But I don't feel like this board is knowledgeable.
I think that's the point of the committee now. I think some of the questions that you just raised have been raised by other people that are sitting around the table, and I think that that's where we're looking for some of the answers, and you're correct on that.
Fantastic. In terms of looking forward down the line, there were things that popped into my head, and when the generators went out in Apshua, was it recently? The most recent generator had to be put on because they lost power.
Okay.
The power outage,
Well-
actually the fall, one morning.
Well, with something like that, it led me to thinking about, all right, what about how powerful is that generator? Are we able to fully run the water while school's going on? Is there an impact to the school? And I look at the long-range facilities plan, and there are generators within there that are, if I pull it out, I think some of them were slated to be projected to be worked on in 2015. Obviously, nature takes its course, we have constraints, and things can't get done. However, generators seem to me to be a bigger priority than other things, and that's just an example. Whether or not the generators are fantastic and are in tip-top shape isn't the real issue. The real issue is I and I don't know if everybody else would love to see the order of capital projects being done, just to have an idea. Whether or not it changes, that can happen. That's life. But we need to have an idea as a board of where things are going to go, and I'm glad that the Operations and Finance Committee are going to go down that road.
I think all the committees are going to have discussion.
Yeah.
It's not going to just be one.
Excellent.
I think you got about another minute.
And I guess I'll hold tight with that. I didn't come with prepared statements, but you know, there's definitely a huge part of me that says 2% is about as high as I can go. I can't agree to anything more than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Van Dyke, can I make another comment?
Sure.
One of the reasons why there was discussion about the Maple Road roof being put out to referendum was because then we would get 40% back from the state if it passed. I'm not quite sure, given the condition of the SDA that you've been reading about in the local newspapers, whether that's actually going to happen anymore. Because now they're supposed to be taken over, there's a power play going on, they want to be taken over by the state economic development authority. which is going to inflate costs. And I think they've run out of the bonds, the original bonds, so they don't have any, they have to bond more money in order to be able to provide us with that reimbursement. So,
It may be a non-issue, it may be something that's not even going to be
yeah,
feasible in the
feasible
future.
anymore. So, we have to see where the dust settles on that. I mean, we were fortunate that we were able to do it for McAfee in the high school, and, we have about $190,000 in debt service aid, which is going to offset our debt service payment in this budget. But going forward, I'm not quite sure if that's still going to hold true.
Mrs. Fritz?
Couple comments, probably more than questions, I guess. First, I appreciate all the work that's gone into this, because I think the further reduction in aid really kind of took everybody by surprise, and, not to undercut that's, huge dollars that, we don't want to make hasty decisions on. So I appreciate all the effort that you're all putting into that, and I've had conversations with Linda, and I think what seems to have done so far, and understanding that there's more work to be done, is the balance to Mr. Novak's points about programs as well as the capital projects. I think what I do see here, and I realize we're not exactly where we need to be, but it's looking at how do we spread this pain across, all the groups, right? It's not just cutting, 20 staff. It's not just, pulling out a program. It's not closing the school. I think it's really being looked at very smartly, and I think, yes, there's still work to be done, but I think I appreciate the approach, and also not doing it to the detriment of our students. I mean, the fact that we are still charging ahead with more of the STEM and the robotics and the younger, it's where the future is going, and we need to stay on top of making sure the kids are prepared and putting in the tools and things that we need to make sure that our district is attractive to people coming in, and that our kids can be successful and that we can be competitive. So I'm glad that we're not just, wistfully cutting big programs and new efforts and initiatives. And Linda and I talked, Kate, to your point about the staff, and, I think really we're trying not to impact the elementary kids too much. I think, yes, you might have some pinches in classrooms, but I think that was a concern that a lot of people had. So I think they are looking at that and taking that, which I think is valued by everyone too. We also had talked a while back about doing a demographic study, and I think that we still, I don't know where that is, but I think that's something that we still need to do. Whether to close the school or not close the school, that's a big decision, and that's not something that we just throw out there thinking we're going to save money, because it might not save us a whole lot of money at the end of the day, and it's hard to say whether enrollment will come back and what will change. So, not overly supportive of that, but I do think doing that study and trying to understand that better is something that we really should do. That's pretty much my main point. So
Am I allowed to comment just on something she said to me?
Sure.
I'm not just talking about elementary. I'm definitely also very concerned about middle school and high school. And all studies and all research shows that when students have adults that they can build relationships with, that their mental health is better. And if you look at any statistics across our country, our state, our town, mental health in all our students is not great. So keeping the people that are with our kids, that build relationships with them, that are there for them at all levels is what I'm really concerned about. So seeing only one administrative staff and cuts with people that have daily interactions with kids across the entire district is what I'm really,
those are probably conversations for more committee, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
understanding
okay.
what those are,
and I don't. That's what I mean by I don't know what the cuts are. So from this seat, it's different.
Large programs that might not just
Yes.
be,
Yeah,
like that.
but just because you said just elementary, like my concerns are
Well, I
just.
think in general, we tend to hear a lot of people speak out about the size of the elementary
Right.
classrooms. That
Yeah.
that gets to be a sticking point of
Yeah,
at a
I
younger
understand
age,
that.
it is harder for them. So that's kind of where that.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, a bunch of comments. And again, I do appreciate the work put into this. I've done this kind of work for too many years now, and really appealing to that. The issue with the state aid, it really gets me. There's not a lack of state dollars there. They're saying we're putting more money into it. We're not getting any of it. We're losing it. And these costs are not linear. You know, you have a classroom with 20 kids in it, you have a classroom with 15 kids in it, it's going to cost you the same. You got the teacher costs, you got all the, it's really a lot of fixed costs. They're not really variable costs that much with the school enrollment. Trying to see if we can argue that some way. I saw a letter from Assemblywoman DeCroce. It's kind of ridiculous. We're in a tough spot. We can't expand. We go to the Highlands, and I believe in the Highlands. It's right. We do not have enough water to support the town, to support everything, and it's basically a good thing. But basically, we have got our fair share, a lot of broken promises with that. I would like to see more capital plan, and maybe we look more into bonding, which might be more palatable. I know as we go up to a vote, we tell the voters, well, if you approve this bond, your taxes are going to go up this much. If you don't, and it's got to come out of somewhere. Either the stuff doesn't get done, or it's going to cost you a lot more. So, you know, we still have our part to do, and I think the district's done a good job when you look at our per pupil costs based on you know, the general average. But again, I'm getting this feeling we're not really getting a fair shake from the state, and I'd like to see what we can do about that.
Thank you. Mrs. O'Brien?
Saving the best to last, I think, in a way. A lot of people said what
Thanks.
I wanted to say. Ready to go yet.
Second to last.
That's how neighbors talk.
The last email. Okay. Well, joking aside, a little bright light in this crazy situation that the district's in. An article in today's paper saying the county taxes, there's going to be a 0% increase. We don't get a lot from Fulton County anyway, but I will keep my comments close to heart here. First of all, I don't think we have an issue with mismanaged money here in our district. I think we've done the best we could under the circumstances. I've been in the district 30 years, and the issues that we're bringing up tonight have been here for all that time. Really, nothing has changed too much. For those new on the board, this is a preliminary budget. This is our starting point, so if we approve it tonight, this is not set in stone. We have to start somewhere, okay? So I personally would like to start with more and then cut down. And through committees, make a decision, an educated decision, what would be best under the circumstances that we're in. I think we've done a lot more than I've seen when my children are in school, and they're in their 20s now. But we're doing so much more with what we have. The staff has been phenomenal all this time, and I'm very, very proud to be on the board. I'm very proud to be part of this lovely town. But because of the Highlands Act, because of the enrollment, because of lack of businesses, this is something that hasn't changed, and I'm wishing we could get some answers. And unfortunately, the state doesn't really give a concern about our town for whatever reason. And I just wish we had some sort of concrete answer to that.
Thank you.
Two.
Marino?
Now this is the best to last.
Thanks,
Maybe
friend.
not.
Oh,
I'm excited to hear it.
well, after what he says, I don't.
We have a president. So, with regard to the Highlands Act, you look at many of the school districts that are losing money, not just West Milford, right? We have to remember there are an awful lot of school districts across the state that are losing money. And when you look school district after school district, where do they sit? They sit right in that Highlands Act territory. Hapakon, and I'm just naming Hapakon and Jefferson and Ringwood and Vernon, and like you could go on and on.
Point of parliamentary order. New Jersey School Code 18A 1224, conflicts of interest. I think we have two people on this board who meet the definition under New Jersey statute, conflict of interest. And I think that, given that, we need to be very careful about discussing in public or private or voting on the issues which are conflicting.
I don't know
No,
what
no,
you're talking about.
Point.
What's your
New
point?
Jersey statute.
What did you say it was again? 18, 12, what?
What's the,
18A, 12 to 24.
what are the
What's the
conflicts
conflict?
of interest. Two of our board members have immediate family members who are employees of the district and affected by our budget discussion.
Every board member is able to vote on the budget. Every board member.
And every board member is affected by
By the budget.
discussion.
Everybody here is conflicted because we all pay taxes.
Right.
there's
And
no
I did-
specific exclusion or conflict when it comes to,
I did
This
contact
issue.
New Jersey school boards about this.
Not
Thank
for the
you.
budget.
I learned that last year, my
Yes,
first year of
we
doing
went
the
through
school
this
board's
with-
training.
With,
I think you
I
probably
contacted New Jersey
learned
school
that.
boards for it.
Right.
Oh,
Huh?
You're right.
If you'd like to, you can contact them too. But I did because this had come up before.
That's fine.
it's not a conflict.
Go ahead, Mr. Guarino, continue, please.
So the one thing I'd like to say, I just want to address you directly. I didn't interrupt you during your conversation, right? And I want to make sure that
Sorry.
I get a chance to talk. You could have brought that up afterwards, or you could have done it immediately before I started to talk. So I'd appreciate that next time. Thanks, Steve. So, like I mentioned, right, a lot of these towns sit right in the Highlands Act area. And, you know, and unfortunately, right, and I agree, I love the environment, you know, I want to do what I can for the environment. We provide water to the city of Newark, and it just rubs me the wrong way when I see that they're getting $812 million in state aid, and then we're going to get almost $1 million cut from our aid. And we get zero from them, zero. The cost per student, yes, Steve brought up a point earlier about declining enrollment. And, you know, when you look, if I take Steve's numbers, or I took your numbers, $64 million, our cost per student was roughly, you know, $14,000 and change. And now if I look at our budget today, with the 3,200 students, our cost per student is roughly $23,000. So you look at that and you say, well, how does that shake out over that 10-year period? If you look, it really is. It's about a 5% increase every year. So that's more than 2%, so I don't disagree with what some people were saying. However, we also have buildings that are aging. We have emergencies that, unfortunately, we have to address because they weren't addressed sooner. And I think it starts to become difficult if we don't wrap our hands around, hey, what's our 3-year and 5-year and 10-year capital projects? What do they look like? I think that is something that through committee, right, we can probably start to shape that. And maybe we can find some cost savings in future years if we do some preventative maintenance. Steve and I sat through a great ESIP couple great ESIP presentations, which is going to help our school district over time, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's going to help us, and it's not going to cost us anything. So, yeah, there aren't too many of those. Unfortunately, there aren't too many of those things out there. So we need to grab those when we can, and I'm thrilled that we're working on that. The bond for the roof. I don't know how many times we said this. I mean, if that would have happened 2 or 3 years ago, we wouldn't have been having this conversation this year. The demographic study, I was going to bring that up, so thank you for bringing that up. I think that is something that we need to do. It was 10 years ago. We need to just jump on that again. And at the end of the day, we can't sacrifice our students, right? Our goal as a board is to help our students learn and grow in a safe environment, right? And our teachers are the ones that help do that. So, I think somebody brought up, our class sizes. I know we need to take a look at those, but, the more students you put in a classroom, we do, right? There's study after study that says that affects learning. The more a student can sit with a teacher, right, and grow with the same teacher, we show that helps a student grow as a person. So I just want to make sure that we are not doing things that are going to be to the detriment of our students. So,
None of this is going to help our kids. None
yeah,
of it.
I know.
But the cuts have to be made. It's all going to hurt.
Yeah. Well, the students come first, so.
Now, everybody does get a second chance. So, Mr. Drew, I'm not going to speak until you're done.
Okay, thank you.
You have 5 minutes.
Let me start by saying that the most important thing to me here, frankly, is education. The U.S. is not going to succeed in the modern world if we continue to decline in place compared to Finland, Germany, everybody among the OECD nations. I care about education. That's the reason I'm here. If we're going to continue to innovate, invent products, create new companies, education is the key to that. Not everybody is going to do that, but we need to continue to do a good job. That has to be done one district at a time. That's the way it works in the United States. Local control, that's the way it ought to work. I like the system, but we've got to make sure that we're paying attention to education. I will say there's some things that we do just outstanding, and the one I want to point out is our music department. We really are just second to none. We do an absolutely outstanding job. I went to that play the other night. I was so pleased to see the performances by the kids, by the producers, by everybody involved. And one of my biggest concerns here through this process, music isn't considered part of thorough and effective education. And I think we cannot cut music and sports and some of the other things that make West Milford uniquely West Milford. We have got to find ways to continue to include those things in our budget. We've got to find ways to continue to fund education, do a good job. I do know, going back again to 2008, we have cut the number of teachers by 6%, even though we have a 25% decline in students. I like that, but it does mean that we've got smaller class sizes now, and we probably ought to look at that. We have, however, increased the general and administrative services by 15%, headcount, by the way. We have increased central services and admin and IT by 62%. We've got a number of places where we have increased over the last 10 years our administrative costs.
I'm sorry, where are you getting that from?
Directly out of the reports, and in fact, Ms. Francisco gave me these numbers. I didn't make them up. They came out of the annual reports by category. So I think we
Out of
got
this book, or from each year?
the
The
audited book.
Got it.
Okay. So I think we should look at that. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, and here's part of where I want to go with this. Education occurs between the teacher and the student. That is the key element of what we've got to do. The teacher's got to engage the student, make them interested, and that is absolutely the last place that we ought to look at making cuts, in my mind. Absolutely the last place. Now, there are some places where we can combine, and I've suggested this kind of thing before, the honors and AP classes. Same material. You know, we can have slightly larger classes, and frankly, by the time you get to middle school and high school, class size doesn't make as much difference. But again, that's, I think, completely up to the educators, not me. Here's what I do know absolutely 100% for sure. Just spending more money on education does not improve education. I know that based on my own experience at McKinsey & Company, where we did a study, and we found you can spend money in some places and it doesn't do any good. You spend directed money in other places to say, I'm going to improve this specific program, and yes, you get a payback for that money, and we need to look at targeted things. This is kind of interesting. In the last week of the Obama administration, the Department of Education put out a report about the effectiveness of the ESSA over the years. And they concluded, overall, across all grades, we found that implementing any SIG, School Improvement Grant, which is ESSA, funded model had no significant impacts on math or reading test scores or high school graduation or college enrollment. It is very easy to spend money, just to spend money, because we're going to do the same thing we did last year and just add some more money to it. We've got to look very specifically at where we're spending. And in my concern, back to the train wreck, we're going to be able to handle next year. I'm not that worried about this budget. I'm worried about what happens 6 years from now. I don't want to cut music. I don't want to cut sports. I don't want to cut auto shop, the things that really, really add to education. And I think we need a 6-year plan of where we're going to get to. And if you will, if we can jump a year, if we can move down that path 1 year sooner, we actually generate extra money to put into our education program so that we can do the things we need to improve. So I think we need more than just looking at this 1 year.
And I think you need to come forward with that, some of the ideas too, through committee. You are on operations, finance. And I'm sure
If
that.
you're asking me for ideas, you've got points there.
Well, and is anyone else, have anything else that they'd like to add? Mrs. Fritz?
Just wanted to kind of follow up on some of the things that Steve said, and, I think it's important to remember, you were saying the increase in the staff was over, was it 8 years or 10 years? Like over the past 10 years?
Since 2008.
Okay, so about 10 years.
This is a 10-year series.
Okay.
I got this from Ms. Francisco. If you want, I'll copy it.
No, that's, I wanted to make sure.
Well, we all should have that in our audit report.
Yeah, it's in here.
I guess my point about that is, think about 10 years ago, like what things looked like, and that as business needs change, you have to, business as a school change. You have to really, and look at all the change in technology, all the smart boards that were added into schools and Wi-Fi and, to have IT staffing, because obviously you need people to install them, monitor them, repair them, implement some of those things. Tips, everyone's favorite topic. I mean, all the staff that we've had to train and bring on and do to support things like that. I think to your point, it's really important that we, and a lot of the things that Mr. Novak has put into place around STAR Math and all these assessments that are allowing us to measure ROI on the investment that we're making in the programs and things. So to that point, I think, as things change, you have to assess what administrative support you need, to cover that stuff. But, we do need to measure the ROI on that. And I know there's still so much that's being done around math and some of those programs. And I agree with a lot of what your sentiments around the math program. So I just think it's important to look at, you can't just say, oh, we've increased our administrative costs, because a lot of times there's a business need that supports a lot of that.
Kate?
In this preliminary budget, we're looking to, we're saying that we're going to redo the Macadam floor. So I'd like to know, is the Macadam floor an emergency situation at $128,000? It could save a staff, right? Is that, I just don't know.
And we're getting more information. The floor needs to be replaced. It's worn. It's a rubberized floor now. And so we were looking at putting a wood floor back in.
Yes.
We're waiting to get prices on what a rubberized floor replacement would be, because once the surface wears, it's like our track. Our track and our field, our turf field, is going to have to be replaced within the next few years.
I guess really I'd like to look at that and say, if we could save a staff member and put off the gym floor, and are there other ways to fund it? Are there other things to look outside the box rather than just say that this is definitely, I don't know if that's even possible, but if it is, it would be.
Anything's possible. It depends if you use those savings to lower the tax levy or to lower the cuts, the staffing cuts. So it could be either way. So I'm not sure which way the board wants to go. It really
And it's going to come up at some point, but I wasn't here for
By
the.
committee, we should have more information about what it would cost to replace the floor with a rubberized floor. So then you have to decide whether you want to put $50,000 or $60,000 into the rubberized floor, or $128,000 and have a wood floor, and then you have another regulation gym. So.
And if we put it off this year, are we just Band-Aiding it that it's going to need to be done in 2 years or 3 years when we know that we're gonna keep going down this trajectory of, funding, so.
So that was kind of exactly my question. Is it something we can Band-Aid and look to fund with, I was not here for the roofing situation. However, it sounds to me like that could have maybe been different in funding ways or something. Are there things like that for budgeting?
I think we need to remember too, with funding, if we do at some point put together a referendum,
Yeah.
if that's what we're talking about, I'm not correct, I don't know if you could correct me if I'm wrong. If there's items that are on there that we put for a referendum and the referendum is defeated, we cannot fund them,
Right.
correct?
That
Correct.
year.
That year.
It depends on if it's a separate proposal with your budget program or whether it's a referendum that goes out to the voters 4 times a year. It depends on how you present it.
And there is cost, of course, involved in doing that too.
Yeah, if you do it as a separate proposal to your brothers, so that, say we did it, to the people, it would then be a one-time deal, and you'd have to raise the money all at once. So it's really not, if you do a referendum, you're selling bonds, and you're financing the bonds over a period of time.
So it's not the same kind of hit on your
Yeah,
tax dollars.
it's different.
I totally agree with what you're saying. There are a list of things that I myself went in and sat with Barbara and Alex to talk about, and I do feel that as committees, because unfortunately you can't pull every one of them out here tonight, but I think we have to talk about it, and I think they're very open and ready to give that discussion so that we can get to the point when we get to where we have to adopt the budget that is the final budget, that we can all feel comfortable with whatever cuts or whatever changes are made in the budget and where we are at a percentage rate. I do want to say that I have felt very strongly, and I feel that that's the direction that I've given both Barbara and Alex, is that the elementary is our base. And we're sitting here meeting after meeting talking about math and our test scores and things. We cannot do something to put the base in trouble. We have very good class sizes. I think even with some of the things that are coming, that are changes, our class sizes look very, very good. So I feel that they have taken into account our learning needs in the elementary buildings. And I do believe that there are classes that are in both Macapin and the high school that we may be looking at that are at lower numbers where they could be brought up. So I feel very comfortable that I don't believe that they would strip our district away, that we would be in jeopardy. But we do have to look at that, and I totally agree with you, Mr. Drew. It's not next year. It's 5 years from now. We need to have a plan. I think there's multiple facets that we have to look at. We have to look at partnering with the Highlands Act and partnering maybe with Vernon, Jefferson. Those school districts looks over $1 million. They're sitting looking today wondering what happened to us because they weren't expecting it either. So I think that the northern part of the state got a big hit, and for some reason we all are in a unique situation because of the Highlands Act. So I think we have to find a way to address that. That being said, I agree, we have to look at an enrollment study. We have to look at seeing how we're going forward in the next 5 years, what our enrollment's going to look like. I think a referendum is an idea, but I think we have to work at that. That's something that's going to take months to look at. And I totally agree with Mr. Seidowitz. I think we do need a plan of the next 5 years. What needs to be addressed? What is going to rise to the top? Our generator's going to rise to the top. I agree about the floor. I question the floor myself. I thought to myself, gee, do we need a wood floor? Would it be better to, I know when we put the rubberized floor in, but in the long-range plan, is the rubberized floor not the answer? Because maybe, a wood floor will last 25 years and the rubber floor will only last 10. I don't know. That's something that only the professionals are going to be able to tell us. So I think that's all something that we have to, and we can't do what's happened in the past. That's what happened with the roof. The roof is a dead item, but that's what happened. It was put off, and then finally, people felt like they were up against the wall and they had to do it. So I think that those are all things that we need to look at, and I feel that this board is very willing to do the work that needs to be done to give the direction that we're looking at for the next year and for the years to come. I want to thank everybody for their input, and I hope that, we continue to do this and that we do it in a very cohesive group, because I think the bottom line here is we all don't want to hurt the students of West Milford. We want to see the education move forward, and we want to see our district move forward, and our kids get the education that they so rightly deserve. So, Will?
Just a tangent thought for a minute about the gym floor. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Guarino, but they went down that line, and I know it's inevitable. Please just, my opinion is go with the wood floor. It lasts longer, a lot longer, and that'll save us money down the line. Just throwing it out there. In terms of the budget, that's the worst part of the job. Voting on this budget, talking about this budget is the absolute worst part about this job. And I hope that any of the critiques, criticisms that come out of my mouth aren't seen as slants towards anybody in the administration or any of the staff, because honestly, from the time the first light turns on to the time it goes off at the end of the night, it's an incredible job. It's amazing how it works, and the more I sit at this table, the more I appreciate it, and the more it just makes me appreciate all the hard work that goes into helping our students become great adults. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for allowing me to comment.
Mr. Drew, I'm going to give you the third bite.
I
I'm
know
not
you don't want
supposed
to, but I've been talking about math for 4 years. One of the things we're still doing is we're still doing IXL. And I think, maybe it's just me, but I don't think it takes a PhD in education to understand that if you're teaching one thing in the classroom, the homework ought to correspond to it. So, it's up to you, not me. But I can also tell you that these are the numbers we presented. Math scores by cohort. And what we can see, they went up initially when we got more students to participate in the part. But when we look at what a third grader did the next year in fourth grade and the next year in fifth grade.
Mr. Drew, why are we looking at the test scores right now?
Because I want something in this budget to improve math.
I think you have agreement around the table.
All right.
Okay, so I need a motion, Mr. Guarino, to, under operations and finance.
I think.
Point of order.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
Linda, can I just have my third? Sorry.
Yep.
This book, Barbara, that I have is still all the same except for the two things, which are the cuts and the tax increase, right? Everything else in here is still...
There are things that have been taken out of it.
Okay.
In order to give you the budget today. So, sorry. One of the things I did is I updated the tuitions.
Okay.
Because, we had gotten tentative tuition rates, so we were able to update some of the tuitions. But for the most part, everything else is intact.
So this preliminary budget and this binder, for the most part, are
Yeah, so
hand in hand.
if
They
you find
represent each
questions
other.
in there on some of the expenditures, feel free to ask. And then, if they didn't carry forward, I'll let you know.
Excuse me, I kind of went off track here. We're going to public comment now,
Yes.
okay? Members of the public who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be first for 5 minutes for each speaker for a period of 30 minutes. And then time permitting, other public comment limited to 5 minutes per speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All members of the public speaking during public comment are asked to sign in now. We have a sign-in sheet. You're to sign in with your name, address, and phone number. Name and address. We decided to, we changed that through our bylaws because we felt people were uncomfortable giving their name and address over the TV, over the live broadcast. All members of the public speaking during public comment are asked to address topics listed in the agenda. All speakers are asked to give their full name, spell their last name, and provide their address. Speakers may not use the name of student during public comment. Is anyone signed up to speak there? Is anyone wishing to speak and sign in?
Percentage decrease.
Come forward, please.
West Milford's 56.
Please sign in there. Yes, you just do it before your time starts.
Need more quiet.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to get a longer pen. We don't want anybody to take it home with them. Budget.
All right. Glenn Huber, West Milford resident, I choose to say so anyway. Parent of Macklin student, and trustee 2016 to 2018. I'm surprisingly encouraged by some of the discussion tonight. You guys hit on a lot more than I expected you to. I did have a little presentation. I'm going to adjust it, so apologize for it being a little disjointed, because I'm going to leave some things out that you guys covered and add some things in that I think I need to comment on. First thing is politics. Okay, I heard a lot of talk about appealing to the state and the Highlands Committee and so on and so forth. The sad truth is this part of the state has lower voting power in the state, so therefore it's less important to politics.
Right, exactly.
You guys cannot count on changing anything with the state. That would be fatal. You must plan for the worst and hope for the best. Give it a shot with the state if you want to, and I think it's a great idea, but don't count on it doing any good. Plan for the worst, please. I heard a lot of people skirting around issues kind of gently, and that brings me to local politics. Simple fact of the matter is, and I don't blame you, everybody here is afraid of what people are going to get upset about. Okay? But there's no way to fix this problem without making some hard decisions. People are going to get angry. Accept it. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to please everybody. If you try to, again, that's a path to disaster. Okay? You have $7 million a year cut coming. Okay? Phased in over 5 years. The $7 million per year, not just $7 million. I want to make sure the public understands that.
No.
It's not just $7 million. $7 million we could absorb.
No, excuse
But
me.
it's $7 million a year.
No,
No, that's not
it's
right.
$1 million a year over seven.
Because the
reduction, the
No,
total
the
reduction
at
will
the
be
end of
7
5
million
years
less
is
than it is
$7 million
now.
total per
Right.
year.
Per
It's
year.
not 7 million each year.
So, it's, yeah, they're phasing in roughly $1 million.
Right.
But at the end of that,
A
it's
year.
$7 million a year that we don't have. So, your tax increases, staff cuts, these are unsophisticated solutions. All right? What's going to happen here is you have a situation where part of the problem is, as Barbara said, the valuation of the property. As you raise taxes, the value goes down. So you make your problem worse. Okay? You have staff cuts. Okay? What's that going to end with? Larger classes, lower education. Okay, I don't agree with whoever said that some larger classes are easier in upper levels. I found all the way through my over education, all the way through graduate school, that smaller classes benefited me in getting a better education. So I don't agree with that statement at all. I'm really happy that you guys are talking about a long-term plan, a long-term capital expenditure planning, and so on and so forth. But what you're skirting around is cuts to overhead and non-human overhead. And this is something that's going to be unpopular. But if you can find another way to do it other than taxing the living hell out of people and cutting staff that we need to educate, I challenge you to find it. Okay? What will happen in 5 years? If you guys don't make a plan, what you do this year, maybe a little into next, is going to determine what happens in 5 or 6 or 7 years. It was said here tonight, but it's predictable what will happen. We'll have small class sizes, the music program will suffer, sports will suffer. These are the things that the parents in our community care about. Okay? Your legal mandate is academic education. Okay? This is the most important thing that you do. And it cannot be made to suffer in order to try and help save these other things. Yet we want to save those other things too. So you have to, dig deep. Make the tough decisions. Be a parent. And make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I need a motion.
Close public comments.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we need a motion.
Just want to make one quick amendment to the agenda. Under education number 2, there's going to be an additional HIB added. It's 2019/E-7, and it's going to be unsubstantiated.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, education, let's see. Dave, will you do education?
Yes. Motion to move item 1 under education.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, Mrs. Francisco?
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Greeno?
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes. And I guess item 2 will be after executive session. So we will move on to operations and finance. Mr. Guarino, do you have 2 replacements?
Yes. So let me make a motion to move hand carry number 1 under operations and finance.
Second.
Discussion? Remove.
Point of inquiry, is that hand carry number 2 that goes first? Just trying to follow the
Yes,
previous?
it's hand
It's hand
carry
carry
number
number
2,
2.
item 1.
Item 1.
Okay,
So which one are we doing?
thank you.
We're doing
Hand carry number 2,
There was a
item number
revision.
1.
There was a revision.
Yeah, and that continues on the back, so.
The revisions are bold-faced, so you can see them in the type, bold type.
Discussion, anyone? Mr. Drew?
I think we have time, another meeting, before the preliminary budget is due to the county superintendent.
No.
And we ought to, that's
20th.
not correct? I thought it
Let's
was
do the
24th.
20th.
No, it's 20th.
20th.
That was on that paperwork that you have in your presentation. Any other discussion? If not, Mrs. Francisco, roll call, please. This is item 1.
Mr. Greeno?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo,
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky.
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
No.
Mr. Seidowitz.
No.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes.
Oh. Motion to move hand carry number 1, so this is the first one in your list.
Second.
Item number 2.
Okay. Discussion? Dave? Oh, you're seconding it, or, okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Any discussion? If not, Mrs. Francisco?
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky. Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes. Okay, so that ends. Oh, operations and finance.
You ready? Yeah, I got another.
Oh, number 3.
Yep.
Okay.
So back to the original agenda, motion to move item number 3 under operations and finance.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Francisco?
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer. Oh, sorry. Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes.
Under operations and finance, motion to move number 4.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Francisco?
Mr. Guarino.
Abstain.
Mrs. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Abstain.
Mr. Ovchinsky.
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yeah, abstain, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll move on to negotiations. Mr. Drew?
I would like to move item number 1. The BSA is authorized to execute contracts with the Principal Supervisor Association.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Go
Quickly,
ahead.
I really appreciate the hard work that was put into this by a number of people, including our employees. I personally think that they primarily do an absolutely outstanding job. Where we have successes, it's to a very large degree as a result of what some of these people do. And I'm very pleased that we were able to come to a resolution that they understood the difficult financial situation.
Any other discussion?
Amen.
Mrs. Francisco?
Mr. Drew.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Ovchinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz.
Yes.
Mr. Guarino.
Abstain.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Abstain. Okay, we've gone on to public comment. Members of the public who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be first with 5 minutes for each speaker for a period of 30 minutes, and times permitting other public comment limited to 5 minutes. The speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All speakers are asked to give their full name and spell their last name and provide their address on the sign-in sheet. Speakers may not use the names of students during the public comments. Anyone wishing to speak?
Seeing none, I move to close.
No.
This one.
Come forward.
I can hear you growing from there.
No, I'm not growing. It's only 10 after 9.
That's right.
All right, to be continued a little bit. I just want to impress on everybody, I got a little worked up before. I want to impress on everybody that every single one of you on the board is personally responsible for what happens in this district for the next 5, 6, 7 years. What you guys decide will matter. You have to take the lead on this. You can't count on your administrators. Okay? Remember, these are the same people that did not advise us to put the Maple Road roof in the bond, the Deborah roof.
Yeah.
We had a lot of discussion last year. I get to speak.
Okay.
We had a lot of discussion last year about the fact that the Maple Road roof had been having problems for years and years and years and years. Okay, well, that works both ways. If it's been happening for years and years and years and years, and we've been relying on our professionals, how come they didn't give us some suggestions?
I'm going to caution you at this point as far as,
It was public.
I'm cautioning you
Public discussion.
so that you understand that individuals do have rights and you should not be making
I understand.
comments in public session. I'm just advising you. Individuals have rights.
I'm not saying it's untrue. Or that can't be proved by videotape. In any event, I'm saying you should not rely on professionals 100% blindly. You guys need to give them input, think creatively. Dr. Anamone is not one to make waves, okay? And none of these top administrators are married to the district. Neither one live here. And quite frankly, they could leave very easily if they wanted to. So I'm just making that point.
I just want to make sure you guys
All
are
right?
here.
guess you
And
don't live here.
finally, I would just like to say that I'm discouraged by the continuing attempt to minimize important discussion by some of the more sophisticated thinkers on the board. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Seeing none, I move to close.
Yeah, motion by
Second.
Dave.
When did you move?
Well, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I move that at 9:14 PM, we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel, appointments, resignations, current litigation matters, special education matters, negotiations, HIPs, and matters of attorney-client privilege. The executive session minutes will not be released until such time as the privilege or confidentiality is no longer applicable.
we also will be returning for action. To follow up on that, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right.
I've got a pig. Steve, we need them all. Oh, good. Okay, they're coming. Dave, I'm going to have you move it, okay? Because once we get everybody in their seats. Bye. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Mrs. Francisco, could you do roll call, please?
Sure. Mrs. Romeo?
Here.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Here.
Mr. Drew?
Here.
Mr. Guarino?
Here.
Mrs. Fritz?
Here.
Mr. Upshinsky?
Here.
Mrs. O'Brien? Here. Mrs. Van Dyke?
Here. Mr. Ofushinsky, could you do the,
I'd like to move under education, item number 2, as amended, to agree with the superintendent's recommendation.
second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not Mrs. Francisco?
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Yes.
Mr. Upshinsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz?
Yes.
Mr. Seidowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Drew?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes. I need a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
If I could, I'd like to apologize to Mr. Guarino for interrupting him. Thank you for, I'm very sorry about that. Shouldn't have done that. Should have done it. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Good night. You're opposed to closing? Well, you'll be here alone.
Turn the lights off.
I will be the last one.
You will be alone. Thank you, Joanne.
Oh, no problem. See you.